Hope you are doing well. Welcome to another episode HTML CSS full course. I learned HTML and CSS more than 2 decades ago, and today I think this technology is still relevant for someone who is interested to enter into the information technology industry as a developer, front end or back end. So if you want to be a next generation web developer or designer, you cannot ignore the knowledge of HTML and CSS. And in this current modern trend of no code atmosphere, you cannot ignore those basic knowledge of HTML and CSS. So what we are going to do in this particular session, within the next 5 hours, we'll deep dive into HTML, CSS, and this session is going to helpful for both new developer as well as the developer who already have hands-on experience on how to code using HTML and CSS. So as a web designer, if you want to learn HTML and CSS, you have to be familiar with modern standard of HTML because this particular coding is upgrading day by day because of various requirement of the end user. So it's a big landscape of knowledge where you have to be familiar with various type of elements, attributes, and some best practices. So here in this session, we'll look at the various type of knowledge area that is significant for a beginner level or professional HTML and front-end developer. Now let's move to our slides and see what is there for this session. So I'm considering this session as a roadmap to learn modern HTML for the next generation web designer. So when we talk about HTML and CSS, we understand it is the backbone of any web page or web application and mobile application as well. So the most modern version of HTML is HTML5. It includes semantic elements. So the first thing first, what is the major difference between the standard HTML of older version and newer version? It is the maximum use of semantic element and attributes, and modern HTML developers are depending on various type of APIs, and it is very crucial to understand those modern techniques to get into the industry as a professional. We'll discuss all those points one by one, step by step, and we'll also focus on why HTML and CSS is so important. So this part is not important for someone who already have some hands-on experience in this particular field. So it is important for someone who is very new to this technology. So you can skip that part if you think it is already known to you. Next thing, there is some update in the most recent version of HTML and CSS because of the version upgrade. So we'll look at all those changes, like there is no use of the close tag nowadays in many elements. So these are like self-close tags. We'll look at how to use various type of modern attributes, and we'll also learn a little bit what are the deprecated tags that you don't need to use as per the modern rules. So nowadays the industry is looking at more accessibility. Why? Because we want to reach maximum number of user in terms of accessibility. It is like a inclusive kind of thinking where actually all kind of users are invited to your website. We are talking about the people who has some sort of disability. Maybe they don't recognize the color because of color blindness. Maybe they have some disability issue due to which they are not able to use the mouse key. So for fixing those disability issues, all the major government organization, big companies, looking at the accessibility, enhancing the accessibility and making web more friendly to everyone. Side by side, companies also want to reach more customer by optimizing the search engine. As a result, as a HTML developer, you need knowledge to make your pages more search engine friendly by following some best practices. So that is going to enrich your knowledge, and you can claim that, okay, I have the knowledge to work in the industry as per the modern standard, because very old-fashioned HTML knowledge and the coding coding style is nowadays obsolete. But of course you need some fundamental knowledge of the old best practices and the old rules and regulation. Okay, fine. So next thing is, nowadays people are focusing on responsive web design. It is not so new, because responsive web design is already started in last 5 or 6 years because of the excessive use of mobile devices like Android and iPhone, because you want to display your content on mobile, so that something which is displayed in the in a desktop version should be accessible from a mobile device. And that's why HTML and CSS is introducing some new rules for like CSS flexbox, grid, and various other media query. So as a beginner, you also need that knowledge as well to make your website more responsive. And when you acquire all those knowledge, then the next step would be making your web pages more interactive by using JavaScript. But remember this, JavaScript is not scope of discussion in today's topic. We'll only focus on HTML and CSS, and maybe in another class we'll look at the use of JavaScript in the how to use JavaScript for a more interactive HTML and CSS development. Now, I have already prepared a JavaScript related video. Maybe you can find the, maybe you are interested to look at this video, because it is like a simplified tutorial of JavaScript, and link will be available in the description below. But the next thing is making your workflow more modern as per the industry standard, because nowadays you will be a part of a team, and when you are dealing with a project that is done by a team, it requires a modern workflow where you can manage your code through GitHub. You have proper understanding of how to control your versions, and you have a good idea how to use your code editor in such a way that you can keep your version on various version of your work on the repository, version control repository. So how to do these things, how to use some sort of automation so that you can work fast in terms of coding, because nowadays various type of automation tools like Gulp and Webpacks are available that can automatically make your workflow faster. You don't need to open the browser again and again. You don't need to refresh the browser again and again to see the changes you are doing. So these are the new style of doing HTML and CSS development. Maybe this knowledge is very important nowadays. Why? Because 10 years ago there was no such automation, and people took a lot of time for creating one page, and nowadays with the help of frameworks and automation, the coding is faster. All you need to know how to use those tools and making your workflow faster. And next thing is doing some projects, how you can demonstrate your work through some project where people can see how efficient you are in terms of doing such thing. There are many open source projects available, and you can reuse those code for fast development. You can find various resources in website like CodePen and JS Fiddle. So we'll find out how to reuse those code for solving a specific task, so that you can work professionally with a team who are really doing a big project for their company. So I think that was the introduction of what is HTML and CSS course all about. In the next phase, we'll start from the basic, and will introduce you with the new technologies of HTML and CSS landscape. So see you in the next part of the video. Until then, keep watching. Dear friend, in this session, let us try to understand the evolution of HTML. So HTML5 is the latest version of HTML4, and it brings the new semantic elements that enhance the structure of HTML and web content presentation. So now you can use tag like header, footer, article, section. Earlier those were like creating tables, creating div, and adding classes, adding some properties. Now due to these semantic elements, it is easy to define various sections of a page, and it improves the accessibility as well as the search engine visibility. So two major importance of this evolution is improving in the accessibility and search engine optimization. So when you are learning HTML for the first time in the modern days, you have to look at these semantic tags. Why? Because you want to play a crucial role in improving the accessibility of your web project or of your web application. So ARIA is a rule that basically important for making the semantic tags more accessible to search engines and web browsers. You have to understand how web browsers are responding the HTML and rendering the design on the for the end users. So we'll explore the evolution of HTML as well as CSS. CSS, you know, the cascading style sheet is important for making any element colorful, adding some styling, etc. So with the advantage of CSS, you can make your page more stylish. We understand that. But nowadays, with the help of CSS, Flexbox, and Grid, it is easy to make your page friendly for mobile devices. So it has revolutionized the layout, design, and all those stuff relevant to that. Beyond the responsive design, we can now think about creating application using the knowledge of HTML and CSS, and that has maximum interactivity compared to the earlier version of HTML. And when you know using various type of JavaScript, you can become a full stack developer with the help of these three stacks. But JavaScript is again beyond the scope of today's session. So in this session, why HTML is now more modern? Because of the new workflow where you can automate some part, and the Visual Coder, Visual Studio Code, the very popular IDE. IDE means the integrated development tool that allows you coding fast, and that is a very versatile code editor, and that enhance your coding experience. Now this is the evolution, this is the modern and evolution of HTML. So we are talking about this modern evolution of HTML in this session. First thing first, why you are interested to learn HTML and CSS in 2025 or 24? Because you want to create interactive web pages, right? Compared to the old version of static web pages. Now, is it a language? Yes, but it is not a full-fledged programming language. It is like a hypertext markup language where you learn how to mark up your web pages. But it has some standard good practices that you have to follow. What you need to learn to become a HTML developer first? First of all, you have to learn various type of tag like doc type, like header, like head. So what is the use of this tag? So these are so basic information that if you are intelligent, you just look at various sources, how to use those tags. You can easily create a basic web page, and I don't need to waste your time but by showing but simple web page how to create those web pages. You don't need that basic knowledge for starting, but you want to master HTML, like you have cleared the fundamentals of HTML. Now you want to study it more efficiently or more rigorously. Then you have to look at the official documentation of HTML and CSS, and you know the official documentation of HTML and CSS is available in W3C Consortium, a World Wide Web Consortium website, or W3C. So it is easily available by in Google, like search the modern standard documentation of HTML5. You can get this website. The problem is that it is so vast and so detail oriented that you lose your concentration of getting into all the part of it, which is true. So let us first develop something like a simple website and do some experiment with the layout. Do some troubleshooting when you are facing some sort of issue with coding, and that will help you in gaining more confidence over them. And when you get chance to collaborate with other, like somebody has given you a task and a senior developer has given you some tasks, and you are facing some challenges like how to make some area more responsive in a particular device, then you face the challenges to fulfill those tasks, and then you can learn more. But here, understanding the basic principle is very important. So when you are collaborating with a team, you are working with a group of coder, you will learn more. So first thing first, go through the documentation as much as you can digest. Obviously, we don't have the capacity to understand a big documentation that is written by a big community as a beginner level learner. So I'll suggest that, okay, spend as much time as you can in understanding the documentation and create something very basic about your project. The next thing is that testing your knowledge. If you are not testing your knowledge by taking a new challenge, then you are not ready for the industry work. So that is enough for the game plan how you can progress. I thought HTML and CSS, many students who are like beginner level student who starting learning this, and they have a very common question: how can we remember so many tag and so many coding property of CSS and HTML? Because we have to be familiar with a lot of new words. So how to remember that? So I suggest them just use some sort of abstraction of learning them. Like when you are dealing with CSS, there is a set of rules and attributes available regarding fonts. There is a set of rules and attributes available for, say, background, and there are some rules regulation available for borders, margin, padding, position, display, visibility. When you are getting a little bit advanced, you are looking at some sort of effect or animation using CSS3. So step by step progress is very important, and making a knowledge abstractions is also important too for remembering them. When you are dealing with HTML, you can segregate all those knowledge or divide all those knowledge using different parts, like how to deal with tables, how to deal with forms, how to deal with images, and all those things are separated by different group of knowledge, and when you are making them together, then you are getting confidence over all of them. In this session, we are talking about some of the major challenges that a beginner level HTML or CSS learner face when they are first time trying to learn it. So first thing is they are not familiar with various type of events that occurs on a web page. So get familiar with all those events, and these events are associated with some sort of attribute, some sort of tag. For example, when we are dealing with a forms, like what kind of action generally a form do on a page, like how to deal with the validations, how to deal with some hover effect, and then you want to make some part of the page invisible. So be familiar with all those events that an end user face when they browse a page, because that knowledge is important when you want to implement those using your HTML code. What will happen when somebody click on a link, how it changes color, and how you can implement various type of scrolling effect on the page for making your web page more eye-catching. So these are important for beginner level learner. Another major question we face, that why should we learn basic so much for developing an HTML page from the scratch? Because nowadays templates are available, we can easily download the template and we can implement a web page like half an hour or within an hour. So why we need to study HTML coding from the basic, like use of framework like Bootstrap or Font or other framework like Tailwind? They can provide you a web page very quickly. So what is the meaning of learning it from the basic? So if you are a developer minded person, like you want to work on real projects, then only the use of framework will not solve your problem, because you will face some custom requirement from the client where you need to apply your fundamental knowledge of HTML and CSS to make this page more interactive. And when you want to become an expert of Bootstrap or other framework, of course your fundamental knowledge will again help you to use its various component, because if your fundamental knowledge in HTML is not clear, like you don't know how to use form, then font and background, you cannot reuse their inbuilt classes that make your work fast. So that is why clarifying the fundamental knowledge of HTML is very important at the starting. So now is the time to recap what we have discussed right now till in this session. We understand the evolution of HTML a little bit. We understand the use of various framework can make your workflow faster. We also understand you need to focus on the accessibility part and SEO part to make your work more accessible and SEO friendly. We understand that modern layouts are using various type of new rules in like media group query or flexbox or grid, so that your page is accessible on any device. And it is significant to use JavaScript or other library for adding interactivity, but it is not scope of our today's topic. And we also discuss about various type of modern tools. Dear friend, now let's talk about CSS. Have you ever wondered that one day there is no CSS all over the internet? What will happen? You will see very dull, colorless web pages. So no doubt CSS is playing a significant role every day on our day-to-day consumption of information technology and web pages and etc. So cascading style sheet is the main key coding technique that is applied for on any web page layout, and CSS3 is the latest version of cascading style sheet. Now CSS is currently a standard for creating any web accessible content. It doesn't matter you are creating it using any advanced framework, somehow CSS is playing a very significant role behind the scene. So with the help of CSS and HTML knowledge, you could become a part of a team who are developing something amazing enterprise level application. So how to learn CSS? And in this session, we are going to give you a step-by-step roadmap where you can do a little bit of self-study after that, and you can get more confidence over this. It is all about positioning various elements on a web page and adding some sort of property on those elements so that it is more attractive for the and user friendly for the end user. So with that focus in mind, CSS development group or CSS, the worldwide consortium, regularly update various type of rules for CSS, and as a front-end developer you need to follow them. So first thing first, what is CSS? So CSS is nothing but some extra file or code that you add on a HTML page, and that make the HTML element more stylish in terms of design, size and position. So from this definition you understand what is the use of CSS as well. So when you are developing a web page, probably in 1990, there was no use of adding additional features like some sort of color, some sort of style or animation, because that time CSS was not so advanced. And nowadays you find so much advanced work all over the internet where CSS is adding a lot of animation, CSS is adding a lot of interactivity, and you can experience a better web pages. So once you have full confidence over HTML knowledge, you can apply the CSS knowledge to enhancing your web pages. So our roadmap is like, we'll discuss about the basics of HTML first and then go further on CSS. Very obvious question, why use CSS? I think from the previous discussion we already understand that CSS solve many styling related problems, and for modern days web page development it is a inseparable part, and that's why CSS is so important. But major function of CSS is you don't need to repeat a lot of HTML code, because one property can be reusable in various section of the page. So one styling can be applicable for all headlines. One styling can be applicable for all the image border. So that is reducing the work of a HTML coder or a front-end developer. It is changing the way we browse the page, and we can optimize the content for various type of devices. So these are the main use of CSS. When you go for an interview and you already learn HTML CSS and you face a question from the hiring manager like why you use CSS, many experienced front-end developers are not able to answer this question because they already work in CSS and HTML technology, but they are not able to answer it at this moment. So be confident about your knowledge and you can answer this kind of interview question. At Get Plus Mindset, we emphasize on creating a mindset that always keep you ignited to learn new things, and when you apply this you can easily learn it. So the question is why we should use CSS, and if you find out this answer, maybe it will help you to clarify your idea and knowledge in this area. So CSS solve many of the styling problem and coder face in the earlier days of HTML development. So somebody invented it for solving a problem, and then many people contributed in this knowledge area, and now it is very helpful. This is the way a technology developed. So when web design was done by only HTML, that time adding property to each and every element again and again was very tedious job. So people come up with a new idea, computer scientists come up with a new idea, and they actually separate the styling part of the HTML in a different file, and let us assume that file is known as the style.css file. So whatever information you want to write about the styling of the HTML element, you are going to write it on style.css file. And the next slide will look at a basic HTML page. So here we can see that there is a doc type, HTML declaration, then HTML tag is informing that this page is about this page is written in English, and there is a head section starting head and there is a end or closer tag of this head, and within this head section there are other tags like meta character set, meta name, viewpoints, and title, and as well as a link of the CSS file. So if you understand each and every line of this page as a beginner level learner, you are getting more confidence on that. So what is the use of that character set? We'll discuss about this. What is the use of this viewpoint meta tag, and where this title is displayed? When you can answer all of them, you are confident that why I'm using this tags. You can also debug your code. Now we are talking about the style.css here. Style.css is actually adding a kind of reusable benefit. That means once you write some code there, you can reuse it in various part of the page. So developer don't need to duplicate inline styling code. So it is reducing the length of the HTML, and that is also reducing the file size. So as a result, pages are loading very fast, and it is solving the problem of too many lines of code. So with the help of modern CSS and CSS3, people are again optimizing the older version of CSS so that they can make the CSS coding programmable, and it is also reducing the length of the or size of the page. So CSS is ensuring the consistency of the style all over the page. That means all the headlines will show using the same font family. All the headlines color will use the same color. So let's see the next slide. Here we see dot title is a class, and we are adding the color blue and font family Arial and sans serif. So if we add this particular class to h1, you can see the h1 tag has a class name title. It will display in blue color and its font family will be Arial and sans serif. So till now, if you are confident about all those things, you are making good progress. And I think I don't need to explain this by showing a web page and displaying it on a browser. You can do it yourself. It is pretty much easy, and you are smart enough to do this. Now, when we add a property like body, and then we add a background color like F0, 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 it will show a specific color to all pages, because all pages has a body tag and it is a background color as per this. And we are also setting a color of hash 333. So hash and a number, it may be 3 digit or 6 digit. This is indicating the color of this element. So color is a property here. Now let's move to the next slide and see that we are writing a code like dot container as a class name, and it is display flex, and it has justified content and center. So using this property, we are indicating that any text written inside the container class will be centered, and the height of this particular container will be 100 VH. So when you understand each and every line of this CSS code, you can confidently use them. Now, flexibility and control is two major property that CSS code use in various concepts. So when we are writing a HTML tag like div class container, and inside these you are adding another class like box, so that box is a child of container. So by default, this box property will be dominated by the rules of the container element. So this is called the hierarchy in CSS. So you need to understand how these hierarchical property are used in CSS as a coder. So let us recap what we have learned till now. We understand that the reusability is basically solving the major problem of writing many code, and it is also ensuring the consistency of style all over the page. We are able to develop some complex layout when it is like a sophisticated design, and CSS help us in maintaining the same design on all pages. So with the help of CSS, you are able to make a good presentation of your web content, and as a result you are getting more engagement from the users. So when your page is totally error free, it is very user friendly, people are visiting it again and again. And most important thing is the media query. So what is media query? Here is a very simple example of a media query CSS code. Let us try to understand it. So when we write @media, it requires a parameter, and with that parameter like max width of 6, 600 pixels, we are indicating that use this property for a screen which is maximum 600 pixel wide. So as a result, you can use multiple number of media query in your web page, and you can set different style for different web views. So CSS media query enable the creation of responsive design that adapt to different screen sizes and devices. That is very important point that I have mentioned. So what is the use of media query? It's an interview question, and you need to answer it with the help of this technical explanation, because media query enable the page to show different CSS property for different devices, and this media query add the capability to make your web page responsive. So here is an example, and if you understand this code, then you can do further study on media query. So what is the definition of a modern front-end developer with HTML and CSS knowledge? You must be detail oriented, and you have to learn some modern frameworks like React and Vue for getting a job in the industry. So our scope of work, our scope of study is only looking at the HTML and CSS knowledge today. So you must need to acquire understanding on responsive design, cross-browser compatibility, and performance optimization of your pages. And you also need the adaptability to work with a team where you are working together with developer, especially backend developer and designer. So what are the technical hurdles that a HTML front-end developer face when they start their job? First of all, you have to brush off all the knowledge that you acquire from your previous work experiences, and then you are ready to take big challenges. So what are the big challenges? Like, you will find that the new project is about some legacy code base and implementing some new framework. So in that case, migrating from the legacy code to new framework is a major challenge, because nowadays most of the clients are looking for the frameworks that are mobile friendly, that are compatible with all devices. So moving your old code to the new framework is a biggest hurdle, most of the important biggest hurdle. The application sometimes very detail oriented, because clients are looking for some complex business operation, and as a result you have to minimize the downtime. That means you have to ensure that your codes are loading fast on different media. Maybe it is a mobile device or a desktop device. So for taking those challenges, you have to use your best practices and knowledges. For example, understand the code as much as possible, read them first, and understanding the comment of the previous code are sometimes significant, and if you can reduce the length of the code, it will make it fast. So optimization technique is again a very big chapter in HTML development. That means you are looking at all possible changes that can make your pages a better performing pages for different users. And when you are dealing with data on an HTML page, and you are dealing with some kind of API, you face constant changes because of some scope changes and you need to ready for all those changes, because changes are welcome, because as long as you are getting many change requests, that means your application is advancing by several iterations. So a good mindset of changing your code is very necessary for a front-end developer. And when you get training on specific framework, you can use your knowledge that you gather from the fundamental of HTML and CSS, and you uh, find them easy to understand because your basics are very clear. So let's try to audit your work, whatever you are delivering, before delivering to the next stage, because you are working in a particular stage of the development. So when you are moving your work to another stage, before that it is necessary to make an audit, and if possible, keep a documentation of the changes, and this documentation will help you, and keep a copy of your older version on GitHub or different repositories, so that if they change their mind, the team change their mind and they want to use your previous code, then all of a sudden you will need to do a lot of changes. Instead, if you have already kept them intact in a repository, you can reuse them. So this is how you can face complicated challenges as a front-end developer. After learning the CSS syntax, it is time to gather more knowledge about the responsive design testing, because responsive design is a very important property of any page for more visibility and more accessibility. And now DevTool provides some inbuilt function through which you can check the accessibility tree and color contrast of a web application. Automation can be significantly speed up the development process and reduce the repeat tasks, and as a result you can deliver your tasks faster. So for automation, there is a tool available which is open source, and you can use it in your HTML development process, and it is Gulp. So using Gulp, you can automate the repetitive tasks such as minifying the CSS for fast loading, optimizing the image sizes, and then if you want to deliver your HTML page using SCSS, then it is easily helpful for the conversion. So we'll look at a Gulp code and try to understand. It is a JavaScript framework, and it is very helpful for HTML developer. Here is a sample gulp.js file that is helpful for minifying the CSS and cleaning the CSS, and it is also producing some SCSS file, .scss file, every time you making any change in your code. Let us talk about the CSS framework and libraries. The most popular CSS framework is Bootstrap, and nowadays Tailwind also getting more popularity, and it leverage your CSS development. You don't need to worry about various type of device compatibility, because framework is giving you the option, and you can get a comprehensive set of pre-designed component and live and utility that you can reuse again and again for faster custom development. So here, browser sync is a JavaScript based framework that is a very powerful tool for automatically refreshing your web page. So all you need, you have to install it using npm install -g browser sync, and with this code you can do a kind of automation in your tasks. So what is the benefit of using browser sync? It is a powerful tool for live reloading and synchronization across multiple devices. So it automatically refresh your browser whenever you make a change in your HTML and JavaScript, and you don't need to do these repeat tasks. If you are a Windows user, you can install it by using this command, npm install -g browser sync and then version number. Version control is very important. So like many other version control, Git has a way to fire off custom script when containing important action occurs. There are two groups of this hook, client side and server side. So you can install a hooks, and the hooks are all stored in the hook sub directory of your Git directory, and in most of the cases it is located .git/hooks. So when you initiate a new repository with Git init, Git populate the hooks directory with a branch of example script, many of which are useful by themselves. Storybook is another UI framework, and Storybook is a front-end workshop for building UI component and pages. So Storybooks is like a next generation front-end development. So look at its user interface. It is like you are getting all the component for building a very user-friendly UI. So it is compatible with various type of framework like React, Vue, Angular, and other modern JavaScript based framework. So how to use this and how to learn this, maybe learning about storyboard is like another video, but if you just try to look at this documentation, like getting started, then why storybook? Let us try to understand that. And the web's component building is a very essential part of today's modern application development, and component driven tools like React, Vue 3, Angular help break the whole pages into simple component by and storyboard book is a silver bullet for this. As a front-end developer, if you learn these skills, you can apply this knowledge for building complex web interfaces. So if we look at this explanation, then a component is itself is a small application. So every piece of UI is now a component. So the superpower of the component is that you don't need to spin the whole app, just you need to concentrate on your component, and you can render various type of component, and storybook has these inbuilt components. So storyboard book is a package. It is small, and you can easily integrate it to your development environment. So how to install this? It is very simple. Storybook is a open source, so all you need to run this npm command, npx storybook @latest init. So once you install it, now there are YouTube video available on how to do this, and once you up and running with the storybook, you can start building based on a boilerplate, and this is how it is very helpful. So for example, if you want to use storybook in a framework like React and Vue, there is a documentation available, and that is the way developers now faster their development. Dear friends, here is a quick recap of the points that we have already learned. So here is a HTML cheat sheet where you can see the major tags. I think you are already familiar with some of these tags, so it is a kind of revision work for you. Just pause this video and look at the component, do a revise. It will be helpful in this learning session. And we can see here HTML tag, p tag, then header tag, title tag, deep tag, what is the use of deep tag. And then in this section we can see that there is list related item, text related item, body tag related attributes, etc. When we go further down this list, we can see that there are some tags especially now obsolete. There is no such use of this tag, but the tags related to images are still valuable. You have to know the use of forms tag, especially because when you are working in an application development project, you have to write a lot of form, or either you have to fix a lot of form, and it is very important for a front-end developer. So there is a dear friend, in this session we are going to talk about VS Code, an integrated development environment. What is the benefit of using VS Code? When you are coding on a VS Code, you are getting a lot of extra features compared to Notepad or Notepad++. Here you can get various type of extension from marketplaces, and these extensions are helpful in productivity. For example, Live Server, it provides you a local development server, and when you click on the Live Server button, you can easily make a server on your computer without help of uploading them on the real server. So for example, if you open the VS Code with some I'm showing you the VS Code right now. Let's see. Okay, so we can see that VS Code is a very robust IDE environment, and it has the latest release of July 2024. It has a default browser configuration. That means you can link a default browser so that when you click on the go live button, the page will automatically render on your default browser. It has some additional Copilot user. That means you can configure the Copilot and GPT-4o for code assistance. That means when you are coding, you can get help from the AI. So there are some other extension update related things. So let us know a little bit more about these GitHub and Copilot feature. So here on VS Code, it is saying there on the latest version, they are saying that we have upgraded the Copilot chat view from GPT-4 Turbo to GPT-4o. So OpenAI is most powerful model to date, and our experiment show that GPT-4o significantly enhance the Copilot coding capability and provide a faster and more accurate, more highly coded and explanation directly in your editor. So you don't need to go again and again on the browser for searching some code suggestion or some idea. Earlier days, when people were facing some sort of challenges in terms of coding, they generally race to website like browser stack, like Stack Overflow and other forum for getting a clue. And nowadays this is completely available. So look at the interface here. So this is something like public code matching panel. So when you are typing some code, generally the chat section provide you some suggestion. For example, this code defined the merge and merge sort function, so it pretty much understandable that the chatbot understand the kind of function you are using, what kind of language you are using in the coding. So that is no doubt very helpful for a professional front-end developer. If you are using VS Code for the first time and live server is not available, then you can just download it. And I have already downloaded it. This server is developed by some developer Ritvik Day, and you can see the number of installation count is like over 51 million. So there are some other tools. Some of the important extension of VS Code that are used by professional are like ESLint from Microsoft. So this one is integrated ESLint JavaScript into VS Code. So it is basically an extension that help the developer in completing the JS code. There are some other extensions like StyleLint are also helpful. Most of the people find working with CSS style sheet is very complicated and very confusing. So in my experience, it is some experiment that you need to apply your knowledges again and again for achieving some perfection. So the concept of creating a style sheet is like separating all styling related work from your HTML code. So here in these, when you add an external CSS file like style.css, you first reset all the browser related CSS styling using star, then margin 0 0 and box sizes border box. So as a result, the CSS style that is by default in a browser are disabled for using these 5 lines of code. So after that, you start working on various component of the CSS. So you have to look at the design first. So design sometimes required more complex styling, and when your design is very simple, you can use CSS as a powerful tool for setting a global styles. And by global style, I'm trying to explain that you can apply the same rule for all the header, or you can apply the same rule for the navigation link item. Now try to understand the basic first from this code. So how to write your CSS file. Again, you need a notepad software, or you can use an IDE, and then use this convention star curly braces, then some setting, and then again curly braces. For each setting, you have to end the line using a semicolon. So understanding all different kind of style selector can help you in modifying the code. So here you will see that some names are not using any dot or hash in front, so they are basically all the HTML element. When you look at the dot logo, it is explaining that dot logo is a class, and it is associated with logo position, and here we have said the font size is some rem. So no matter how you are creating your style sheet, each style sheet defines some unique role, and that's why you can create unique design for your site. So declaration of the various type of property is very important. If you are doing some mistake in declaration, then your web page will run slow or your web page will face some sort of troubles. So for avoiding these, using a IDE software is very helpful, because and through IDE software you can get some idea whether you are writing it correct or not. So understand, when you have a full understanding of external CSS and various type of property, you can play around with the design, and you could become a very helpful resource for the team for solving any challenging web page development. So understanding how you combine CSS and HTML in a web page is very important. So basically the CSS style sheet is indicating the position, the font size, then the color of a HTML element, and the actual HTML element is just like a skeleton, and it has no dynamic features like an Excel and like an JavaScript component. So when you combine the CSS and HTML together, then your end user experience a better web page, and your web page look very professional due to use of the CSS file. So by using the HTML, you can create a separate division for your web page, like one div is for the header section, another div is for a headlines, secondary headlines, and then another div for a paragraph. This is how, if you provide answer on your upcoming examination, it doesn't matter what is the subject, you will get a better score. So creating the style in CSS that specify the size of this instrument, of this element. Some of the latest tools that HTML developers nowadays use for their development. One of the major competitor in this automation is Copilot and GitHub. So basically, this is the world most widely adopted AI developer tool. Here from this example, you can see that when you are typing, you are getting some sort of code suggestion from the GitHub Copilot. So it is integrate. You can integrate these to your VS Code, and this code is generally coming from some internet sources, and you can also ask some specific prompt for help, and that is definitely a very competitive advantage for the developer, because they can do the coding like 55% faster, and this is definitely enhancing their capability. So what is the problem and that this particular software is solving? It is actually helping developer with some sample code, and with that sample code they can fix some complex issues very quickly. So you don't need to spend a lot of time for the research work or brainstorming because of this. Another competitor is like Japlin. So Japlin is a free design tools, especially when you are planning to convert some UI into HTML, then this is going to be helpful. But let us first explore the product. So basically they have a product that is like a communication tool where you can share this while development. So here we can see that it has some version control feature, and if we look at the requirement here you can see you can define various type of user flow, and you can connect them together for explaining the user journey, and these are very helpful for advanced level application development. On the other hand, Enigma and Adobe XD has created a kind of plugin that is helpful for high fidelity prototyping and converting them into HTML code. So you can create interactive and fully responsive prototype. That means when you are designing something from the concept point of view, you can experience that live on your mobile screen and or desktop screen. So you can also convert a design into a code very fast, because it has some AI capability of converting the design into tool. So say goodbye to the hands of back and forth creation. No doubt it's a tedious process when you do everything manually. Now with the help of this product, you can do fast development. On the other side, and there is another tool which is like a designing tool. Basically the Mac user use it frequently, Sketch, and it is a plugin that actually convert your design into a React component. So so design out some iconic app using HTML, so you can develop the mobile app using this kind of feature. Nowadays Figma is very popular designing tool, and this particular application plugin, especially Figma plugin, is helpful for converting your prototype into a real code using some drag and drop or no code environment. So basically nowadays most of the web application, that mobile friendly application, use the framework like HTML, Next.js or React, etc. So this tool is providing you the opportunity to convert your design into a React component. So you can directly convert a Figma design into a React component, which is very helpful. On the other side, we have Figma to HTML. So Figma to HTML is again another tools that convert your Figma design into HTML very quickly, and these are not free tool. You have to buy their service, and these are starting with free, and doing some experiment is no doubt helpful for the beginner level developer, and then you can improve your skill by paid version later. So in practical, the HTML developer collect a lot of cheat sheet. What are cheat sheet? Cheat sheet are like the command or some note that helpful to remind you the concept that how you can use your tools or your element in a better way. So here in this particular screen, let us review some cheat sheet of VS Code. VS Code is a integrated platform, integrated development platform, where you can easily get the suggestion on all those things. So VS Code, no doubt the most popular development environment for developer nowadays. So you can create a list of all those short command. You can pause this screen and look at the various helpful short code that will make your development process faster, and as a result you can work professionally. This list is quite a little bit long, and if you search in their website, this basically official website of VS Code, you can easily create this cheat sheet. Recording. Let us assume that you don't know nothing about HTML and you are planning to become a front-end developer. No doubt you already researched that front-end developer is a good career option, and that's why you are browsing this video. Now my question is that how to start and how to continue learning this particular skill. That is our goal in this part. So you have to spend a lot of time for coding and reading. no doubt. Why reading? Because reading will give you the confidence of right concept. You can clarify your doubts and everything. So far what we have learned from this discussion, that there is a good prospect in front-end development, no doubt, but without knowing the right kind of tool, you are not ready for the industry. So say it is like a 12 weeks study marathon, where you are spending like 8 to 6 hours every day for learning HTML and relevant tools. Then what are the major tools you need to know? You first of all, you need to clarify all the element of HTML. All the elements are not frequently used. There are some elements that are frequently used by developer, so don't need to worry that there are like hundreds and hundreds of elements and I have to know the use of all element for becoming a professional. So don't worry about this. Some elements are frequently used, some elements are very rarely used. Similarly for CSS as well, you have to focus on frequently used CSS and various concepts relevant to that. I have shared the resources where you will get this information free. You can access them, and those content are pretty much understandable. All you need to spend and practice a little bit of time. Then get some confidence over the framework, like Bootstrap framework or Tailwind framework. Frameworks are some ready to use classes that are already part of their framework. When you add that framework to your work, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, because everything is ready to use. If you know the right kind of class, it will automatically show the buttons, the form style, the kind of animation or slide, whatever things you want. Framework is making it faster. During the development process, you need to go to the browser again and again from your IDE, so that you can check what are the changes is reflected on my site or not. To make this process automated, you have to know the use of automation tools like browser sync or gulp, so that every time you make any change in your code, that is reflected on your browser. So this is how you work. Now with that knowledge, are you ready for interview? Are you ready for real work? No, because you need some sort of portfolio where you can show your work to the client or to the employer who wants to see your previous work, and what is your experience level in that. So you need to understand how the industry is going, in which direction. Yeah, are they using the same traditional formula of designing things using for Photoshop and then converting it into HTML? No, things are now changed. Now at the design stage, the designer is providing you a more interactive design using the tools like Adobe XD, Figma, or other similar tools. So those tools have some plugins, so that from that plugin you can convert your component into HTML code, because nowadays a HTML page is no longer a single web page because it is a collection of various components. So if you can convert the component into HTML code, it will make your process faster. So you have to visit those website and then look at their documentation, some sample tutorial, and implement those in your sample project. So is it possible to convert a Figma design into a HTML page, and what are the tools available? This is how you can leverage your skills. So in this session, we have also discussed about the accessibility and SEO part. Why they are important in layman terms of view, because you want to make your web page accessible to all kind of user, no matter they have some kind of disability or not. And you also want to make the content SEO friendly, that is search engine friendly, so that the information that you are publishing for the for general people, these are accessible by the search engine, otherwise your audience will not get the information. So these two areas are very important, and if you know JavaScript very well, you can add more and more functionality and interactivity. But talking about JavaScript is not part of our today's course. We are only focusing on HTML and CSS. So dear friend, I have used a lot of jargon about HTML. So let us start the class technically. So let us assume that I am teaching HTML to my grandma and she is not aware of anything, no technical knowledge, no background, and she wants to know what is HTML, how I can write my own HTML. So let's begin. So in this part we are going to share the VS Code. VS Code is nothing but a integrated development environment where you are getting the kind of tools for writing your code, and it is also highlighting various part. So this is a basic HTML page. So look at the basic HTML page. Here the first line is started with a doc type HTML. So why this line is written? In layman terms, we are declaring that we are going to create a file, and this file is a HTML file. HTML is a particular type of file, let us consider. And what is the benefit of writing a file in HTML? Because it is browsable using a software browser. So basically the Chrome or Microsoft Edge or Internet Explorer or Firefox, these are the browser. These softwares help us browsing content from the internet. So if you want to publish your first web page on the internet, it must be written using HTML. So doc type HTML is just like declaring that this page is an HTML file. Now we are adding some tag with a angular bracket, and within that angular bracket we are using a keyword for denoting a specific element. So when we are starting an element, like I'm little bit magnifying it so that you can see it, because sometime, anyway, I think it is visible. So I'm highlighting this part HTML. So when I select HTML, you can see at the bottom the HTML close tag is there. So this is a tradition of using, or you can say this is a kind of rules that set by the creator of HTML, that when you are starting a tag, you have to finish it using a slash closer tag. So basically HTML is the opening tag, and at the end there is a closer tag HTML slash HTML. So that the major difference between the starting and closing is just a slash. Okay, and within that tag you are adding more and more code, text, images, and all those stuff, so that it is properly visible on your web browser. By web browser we mean the Chrome browser and etc. Now the next tag is head. Now you can remember that when you first time wrote a letter to your head teacher or to your parent, you had used some sort of indentation, so that this content or the information is properly formatted and easily understandable. So HTML also use some sort of indentation, and these indentation are not necessary that if you are not using the indentation then it will not work. It is not true, but using this indentation you are helping other coder, that so that if any other coder is going to reuse your code or work on that, they will find a kind of easiness in your code. So in this particular code there is no indentation, so we are creating some indentation here by pressing the tab. So now you can see the head is started here and head is closed here. I am also adding a new indentation, and see there is a little down arrow when I am clicking on head. So this particular tag is closing these all information inside head. Similarly, if I click the down arrow near the HTML, it closes the entire page. That means a HTML page must be started with an HTML tag, and it must be closed with an HTML tag. If you write anything beyond this HTML tag, it will not visible on the web page. You got my point. So there is one tag for HTML, and there is another tag which is called the body. Body means the main part of the page. So basically, when you select multiple number of lines and press tab, the whole things move left and right. Okay, so Control Z, it is coming to the same position again, and you can see that inside the body we are using some other tags like H1, P tag. H1 means the highest headline of the page, and P means a paragraph. H2 means the second bigger headline of the page, and address means I am denoting some sort of address here using this code. So how to see this page on a web browser? So basically on a Chrome. It is not uploaded in any server, so we are going to browse this page from our computer. So here we see that the head section has some information like title. So where we can see that title, now we are going to check this. So under this particular development environment, you can see a little icon which is called Go Live. So sometimes when you first time installing VS Code, you will not see this Go Live extension because it is a kind of plugin that you need to install for that. Very interestingly, this plugin is developed by live server. I don't know where he is from, but his name is Ritvik De, and it is like a 51 million download all over the world. And it is, so when we are clicking on live button, and you can see it in action. So you can see that the whole page is showing without any specific design, just the text, and we can see the headlines is there and paragraph is there. So this is the basic web page. Now if we want to make it little bit colorful, little bit stylish, then we need to add some sort of CSS in this particular design. So in the next part we are going to learn that basic CSS. Dear friends, now we are going to add some styles or some sort of color in this very ordinary web page, and let us add some color in this particular page. So how to do this? So we are going to add some style like color and then a 6-digit number. This number indicates, let's make this red. So we are using this particular color and saving this page. As a result, when we are refreshing this or going to check this particular page on a live server, we see that this headline is now red. Now we can apply the same style to another class like H2, and we'll see. Now saving it, and we can see that this one is now red again. So professionally, when you are doing these tasks, you are like dividing your screen. Sometimes you can use double screen, so you divide your screen and see the changes on the other side. So it is a tedious job of adding many style related property in each and every line of the code. So it is a tedious process. So designer found a solution for that. So they create a style section inside the header or head section and add all property as per the name of these HTML elements, like paragraph or this. So if we add this particular style to our previous inline HTML page, we'll see a certain amount of changes in the code, and we don't need to use these kind of property for this page. And we are going to refresh this page now, and we see there is a change. So let us change this color to red, and this color to red, and the color to, let's say, purple. Okay, and save it. Now you can see that the color of the head and paragraph is changed due to this style tag. These are pretty much simple thing, and when you move all those style related file to another external file, and then you connect this page to your web page using a link, it works in the similar way. So this is a very basic concept. I think you already familiar with that. Dear friend, in this part we are going to learn how to add an image using HTML. So you have to use the image tag, and then the location of the image file where it is located gives some information about the width and the height of this image, and then browse, save it again, and you can see the page like this. So it is an amazing header, and of course nowadays images are created by AI, very good imagination capability, but it is a we are far away from creating HTML code using AI, and AI can create a basic HTML, but when it is a matter of some advanced HTML creation, AI is not capable to do this right now. There are some AI enabled tools available. They claim that they can convert the design into HTML quickly, but not that much efficient right now. So there is a possibility of, so AI cannot replace your skill set. You can get advantage from AI, but if you have the specific skill set of converting design to HTML, it will not replaced. Dear friend, in this part we are going to discuss about link and bullet points. Suppose you want to add a hyperlink to another page, then how to add this, and how to add this kind of bullet point. Very simple. The tag is like href, and you just need to add the website name where you want to send your user, and then an anchor text, and you have to close it using a tag, which is frequently used in development. And here is the list case, and sometime there is something like called nested list, like inside the li you can add another list. And let's see how these nested lists are visible here. So you can see there is a nested list, so you can add many nested lists inside that. So let's see how it works, and understanding this nested list is very important. See, these are the various type of nested lists available in HTML. Dear friend, this one is a very nice example of basic HTML and CSS page where a nice background is added at the top, and we'll see how this code is working from the design. So you can see that there is an external CSS file is added to this. There is a reset CSS file, which is very much a convention that when you add this reset file, the default style of your browser is removed, and as a result your element can behave according to your style rules. Otherwise, if you are not resetting it using reset.css, you will find that it is difficult to make them behave like your rules, only because the browser CSS dominate it a lot. So here is the CSS for for this nice looking HTML page, and the background and all those things are quite visible here. One of a very significant Chrome extension is helpful for developer, and it is web developer extension. So when we click this web developer extension, we can examine this page from various category. Like, we can disable the use of JavaScript, we can remove disable the cookies, and when it is about styling CSS, like if we disable all the CSS, then this page look like this. And now if we remove this option, it looks like this. For example, if we want to disable the linked CSS file, it again looks like this. We can also edit the CSS because it has a very nice editing panel, and it opens on your browser, so you don't need any special software for that. So for example, I want to edit this particular body line height of this line. So basically I just need to increase it to like 8, so you can see the line height are change instantly. So once you are making this change, you are happy with this layout, you can copy and save it to your original file, and that is how you can do the editing. So web developer browser extension is almost like a complete software that is helping you in this. There are some tools available like validating your CSS, validating your HTML using W3 Consortium code checker. So whether you have made any mistake or not, you can check this. There are some outline tool. I frequently use this outline tool basically when you want to see their position. So block label element, when you click block label element, it bordered all the element of this page, and you can identify the element. So when you clicking like F12, and it is opening your Chrome developer tool, you can inspect each element very keenly. For example, when you click on this inspect tool and try to understand where this code is located, and for what reason it is showing this kind of bold font, then you can see that this is coming from this font size. So if I disable this, it will become very small font. If we enable it, it will become bigger. And by clicking the number and then increasing this, we can increase the size, and we can decrease the size. We can also make changes in the bottom margin. So basically like this, there's up arrow, and down arrow. Very simple. So inspector tool is very helpful. You can also view this page in other devices, like in mobile devices. Select a mobile phone like iPhone 14 Pro Max, and you can view this page in this particular device. So you can select various type of devices from this list. And there is an important part is console. So console is basically where you can write your JavaScript code, like x is equal to 5 and y is equal to 5. Now x plus y is equal to what? So 10. It is immediately giving you the response. So this console is helpful for the JavaScript developer, but we are only talking about this. One of the significant tool is Lighthouse. When you click Lighthouse, it analyzes the whole page and find out various kind of report about your page in terms of accessibility, in terms of SEO and others. So it is showing that it is 100% in performance, but from accessibility point of view there are some issues, and these issues are significant, like only 59% achievement is done here. What is the major issue that is relevant to accessibility? Like it has not used the language attribute, and which is significant. It has the background and foreground color that do not have a sufficient contrast ratio. So what does it means? Like you can see a part like sidebar, and sidebar color is not visible, and that's why it is showing this contrast ratio for this div. So it is a pretty intelligent tool for making your site more accessible. You can also check the security issue. You can also check whether there is any manifest kind of file is added there. Generally, when you want to create a web app, which is not a mobile app but web friendly app, like when if someone browsing your website, there will be a button like download it as a web app. So generally in developing the PWA kind of application, you use this manifesto. Now you can also see some information about the storage, the service that are working behind here. This getting more and more information about these background services storage is important if you are dealing some advanced level project. Now in the next, it is obviously a kind of starting point of HTML development. In future you constantly upgrade your knowledge in this area, looking at the performance. When you click on this button, you can see how fast this page is loading and where maximum amount of memory is utilized, and how you can optimize those memory so that your page can run fast on any platform. Here friends, in this part we are going to talk about a little bit web application. So what is web application? What is the difference between a web application and a website? Website is nothing but a collection of many pages where you can browse the information about something, like some documents. Where web application has more and more interactivity. You can log in there, and after login you get a dashboard. Using that dashboard you can see more and more information about the user, and those information are coming from the database. So if you are a beginner level learner, you have to understand the difference between a web page and a web application. So when you are working as a part of a web application development team and as a front-end developer, you have to understand the definition of a web application and the process of creating it, because otherwise you will not get involved with the workflow. And creating a web application is no doubt a very complicated task, and because you are dealing with many components and they have different business logic for fulfilling some tasks. So in order to learn how to understand a web application, is first you have to look at the various type of user journey and user story associated with that, like what kind of problem it is solving. And if you understand that, then you can think about the user point of view, and of course the designer is using his knowledge and experience for this. But when it is matter of the development of a web application, definitely the front-end developer need to add sufficient feature for making it more user friendly. So your text editor is the only tool nowadays. We are using some extension, Chrome extension like web developer.com extension and web developer tools. These are also helping in editing and more and upgrading your web pages. So basically, what is text editor? Text editor is like a tool that is giving you all the essential toolbox for doing your day-to-day coding. It is also called a integrated development environment. So integrated development environment means that it is there are many other integrated development for specific code available, like for Java. Eclipse is very popular. VS Code is applicable for any kind of coding like HTML, React, JavaScript, or Vue.js, and or PHP. And there is some other less popular tools like Dreamweaver nowadays, not that much popular like earlier days. So these products are usually some environment, and this environment is known as the integrated environment. So be familiar with this, and you have to be familiar with version control as well. What is version control? Like, you have done something very nice, very unique, very helpful, but somehow these are not actually validating the exact requirement of the project. So in that case, you have to revise your code, and you have to create another version of that. So what you will do with the previous code? You will keep that code for future uses. Maybe there is a change in the scope, and they will come back again in the similar plan, and then this code will be helpful for you. So when you periodically make some changes, you save your work for, and this is called the version control, and it is very important for any developer, because nowadays it is industry standard. Without knowing the version control, you cannot make some productive move in your team. So what is version control? Version control is like tracking and managing all the changes of the software, and you are like keeping the history record of all those changes. So a development environment have accelerated version have a version control, inbuilt version control environment for helping their project. So as a beginner level HTML developer or a front-end developer, you need to get familiar with these before facing an interview, because you will face some interview question on that. So basic question: what is the importance of version control? So version control is helping you and your team keeping track record of all the modification that you have done in the past, and as a consequence, you can find out the human error, you can find out how to better your code, and there are many other technical advantages. Now, when you are keeping this record in a storage, we call it a repository, and somebody from your team can use your old branch of code for starting his development, and this process is known as branching. And when you are adding your new code to a new to a updated one, then it is called merging. So understanding merging and bunching is very important. There are some command available in GitHub that using that you can do it very easily. So software development team use this bunch of bunches usually for releasing their software. In a new release, they use a new bunch of code and keep the old bunch of code as a track record. So by designing branches in VS Code tool, a developer maintain the standard of modern day development, and it also reduce some conflict. It also help the testing team somehow. So how to use this Git? Git is nothing but an open source software that you can easily install on Mac OS or Windows. So download it and install it on your computer. Then you need to understand the file system and tree. So web development or web application development are very structured art. It is like like you are working on various pieces of a game and then adding them together for building the whole picture. So it is like a puzzle game. So roughly, when you are dealing with these file system and trees, you can figure out where I need to work and which part is working fine and where I need to work more. You can get an idea. So at the beginner level stage, you are not familiar with the development environment, and you just create some standalone pages or website. That is good enough, but you have to be very broad-minded according to the requirement of the team. So you have to spend time on various type of documentation of HTML, read them, if possible create your own note using pen and paper or a simple doc file, and then keep note of the interesting point that you learn today and in future. Of course, the same strategy is applicable for CSS as well, because CSS and HTML are inseparable part of a web pages. So you need more and more practical knowledge instead of theoretical knowledge. There are many theories available about HTML and CSS, and all those theories are not applicable. Only these are applicable when you face some challenges that are not easily solvable by the knowledge that you have. So if we look at the CSS, it is more like a presentation skill. If we look at the HTML, it is more like a architecture of your page, like a building block of your page. So when you are dealing with the layout control, you are dealing with the CSS, and when you are dealing with placing the content in different area of the page, you are dealing with HTML. So dear friend, we understand that the importance of basic version control. We understand how to manage large project using repositories. Now it is time to look at the browsers, because browser is the tools that is going to help you or time to time in creating your web pages. So study about browser is very important, but before that I am just adding few alternative of GitHub, like Bitbucket. So Bitbucket is basically Atlassian product, and it is using free account. You can save your work, but most of the project use paid account and keep their code private, so that nobody else can see and use those code for their purpose. So understanding browser, understanding the web server, and various type of screen reader, these three component is also very important, which we are going to explore in the future part. Now there is a new trend which is called DevOps. So what is DevOps? Do you need knowledge about DevOps as a front-end developer? I think the basic understanding will somehow help you. Especially the Azure DevOps is a end-to-end software development platform developed by Microsoft Azure, and it provides you the compatibility, and you can get a environment that entirely manage the life cycle of software development. So so it is a platform where you collect the requirement, it keeps the project management kind of things, and it is very agile, and people are using it for large enterprise level development. So as a part of the team, you don't have the responsibility of managing the Azure platform, but when you are part of that software, you need some basic idea how it works, no doubt. So this is not scope of our on today's discussion, but as these are relevant to front-end development, that's why I am mentioning that these here. And also understanding various type of device. It is not, you are not developing it only for laptop and desktop or tab. There are other devices like mobile devices, Android and iPhone. So it is important to remember that various different type of screen size and platform actually follow some little bit different rules. So you have to make your content all device friendly by following those rules. In this part, I'm going to discuss that as a student or as a learner, HTML and CSS development learner, how you can create your portfolio and what platform is good for sharing the portfolio. I recommend GitHub. GitHub provides you a free account where you can create your own account with some details about your background, and a readme file is good enough for this. And once you are creating your profile, you can create some repository where you where your customer, your employer can see your previous work, so you can display some of your work there. And you have to understand the various type of command that use for setup of a GitHub account. So basically git config global username, first name, last name. This command is very popular for just setting up your repository. Then using email ID you can log in. There are some graphical user interface based tools available that can help you in uploading your work on GitHub repository using drag and drop. But obviously the command based process is more convenient for developer in long run when they use those command on regular basis, like git initiate, like git clone. And then you have a lot of commands there, but the point is that how you can use them efficiently, that is very significant. So commit is an event when you make some changes and say, okay, Git, please update my code. Then you use the commit command, and with that actually you also add some sort of comment so that the other user can understand why you did this and what is the purpose of doing this commit. So you will find in some project there are like thousands of commits done by a developer. Why? Because they constantly change their code for adding new features. So we already discussed about branches and merge of GitHub. In fact, getting good confidence on GitHub is very essential for today's developer. Dear friend, in this part I'm going to talk about the workflow of a front-end development. Like 10 years ago, when we are like developing an HTML page from a Photoshop design, the workflow was different. But now the workflow is different, and we are going to make a comparative study here. First, you have to set up your environment for the develop coding. So you need a CSS reset. So there are some normalization CSS file available. You need to include that. So it is like a default CSS file, or you are going to add a custom CSS like style.css, where you are going to write your general styles. And here you are working part by part. Like first of all, you are working on the header section of the page, then you are working on the main hero image or the slider of the page, and then you are looking at the different part of the page, and gradually you complete your work. Then once the task is complete, you go to different browser testing, and if there is any issue, you fix those issues. And flow is like this: you are working on the sections one by one. Here in the new modern development time, things are a little bit change, and which is good somehow, but you have to start with a boilerplate. So how to find this boilerplate? Earlier you have to search it in the Google and looking at some GitHub repository. Now you can use AI like ChatGPT for studying a boilerplate of your HTML page. Then place it in a folder and open that folder with VS Code. And when VS Code is giving you some different tools that leverage your coding productivity, you can add some sort of npm script so that you can add some sort of automation in the process. For example, you can add gulp, which is a JavaScript framework for browser automation. So in this kind of environment, you when you code, your coding is faster. You get suggestion when you are typing few letter of your elements. Now when you are working on different section and for writing HTML, CSS and JavaScript, VS Code provide you the intelligence. Intelligence is an extension that, or you can use the emit extension that enhance the productivity. You don't need to repeat the coding tasks, and the use of live server extension is like a real-time preview of your work. Just within a click of button you can see the changes on browser. You don't need to open browser again and again for that. The most important part is debugging. So at debugging or testing, you need to spend more and more time, because debugging and testing increase the quality of your work. So you are using inbuilt debugger tools for JavaScript, and you are getting various type of error messages on VS Code, which is really helpful for revising your logic, and you can fix those error quickly. Additionally, with the help of extension like load runner or other, you can also check the performance. Where you can check the performance using tools like Lighthouse and etc. And when you are integrating the version control system in your VS Code, like there is a command line available in the environment, so using some git command, when you integrate git with your VS Code, it is easy to send your updated version to a repository using commit command. And the source control panel provide you a clear view of all the changes you have done so far. So somebody else, when you are somebody else is working on your particular project, they can get the clue how you did the changes. So another thing is that VS Code is giving you some destruction free environment where you can use it in different theme and color depending on your choice. Dear friend, in this session we'll compare some old versus new front-end developer tools and why they are now obsolete. We'll find out the reason, and maybe this information will be helpful for us for understanding the evolution of new tools in this particular skill set. So if you are new to this tool, maybe some tools are already familiar to you. So for example, Adobe, they offer very latest tools for prototyping, design, asset management and etc. So earlier there was only one tool for the design, that is Adobe Photoshop, and another tools like Adobe Dreamweaver for the coding. So Adobe Photoshop no doubt gives you the option for image editing. You can optimize the image, but when it is a matter of mock-up and layout design, there was a major obstacle, like you have to send the PSD file or the design to the client for review, and those sample were not interactive. So making change is very tedious, like the owner need to write a lot of comment for making the change. With the help of their advanced Adobe XD tool, the annotation of changes and telling more about where you want the change is very easy, because the product owner and the designer can work together and they can comment on the same platform. So earlier it was easy with the Photoshop, like you can export the mockup in a JPEG file or a image file, and whichever is suitable for you, and then you can send them to the. So what is the benefit of this kind of tool? Because it is, when you are dealing with highly fidelity design, you are constantly making changes. These tools are little bit old fashioned, and Adobe XD is more modern because it has the collaboration facilities. And when you are designing something like a whole application, you can add some interactivity so that the product owner can see it before it live. So prototyping is faster in Adobe XD, and a similar product is like Figma, which is a very good competitor of these kind of tools. So no doubt, if you are learning Adobe Dreamweaver for the first time, because various resource available for learning that, you can get the what you see and what you get kind of editor. So when you are writing these things, you can view the effect on your work. But nowadays the use of Chrome developer tool and VS Code is giving you the similar kind of environment, and there is nothing which is an additional advantage in this page software. But still, the traditional web designer houses uses this tool. But with the help of now drag and drop no code system, some tools like Wix and Webflow is now getting popularity. And as a front-end developer, you need to explore those no code environment as well, because you don't know what kind of project you are going to get in your company and how you are going to contribute for modifying them. So no doubt there are some limitation, cost issue involved in different tools, and the free open source tools are getting advantages because user can easily download them, and with the help of their marketplaces they can add additional feature in it. So the process of debugging, testing, and intelligent code editing, everything is now possible using tools like VS Code, and VS Code is getting more popularity. That's why. So my vote is for, if you have a comment like you think the Dreamweaver is better than VS Code, write a comment in the comment section below. So VS Code is generally better because it is preferred by maximum developer, and it has the lightweight, fastest free tools. You can easily install it in any device, including your laptop or desktop. You don't need specific requirement for this, easily compatible in Mac and Windows. Dear friend, in this session we are going to discuss about the framework. So basically you have to learn one specific framework for this. Bootstrap is one of them. Let us try to understand why Bootstrap is so popular and what are the advantages of using this framework. First of all, you want to make your pages responsive, mobile first, mobile friendly. In that case, Bootstrap is like a boilerplate. You can start easily your page design using this CSS framework. It is adding the responsive quality on your page, and when you are familiar with Bootstrap grid system, you can make the page responsive by creating different kind of layout. It will, if you work on the desktop version, it automatically uh, work for other devices. You don't need to spend more time for each and every type of devices, because the framework is built in such a way that it has some predefined classes. With those predefined classes, it make your layout responsive and visually appealing to the end user. So you, here you get the advantage of rapid prototyping, that you can instantly create some pages using the Bootstrap templates, and as a result you can deliver your product fast. There are some standardized UI element available, when you are creating a hero image or a slider or some boxes, you can get ready to use example code for that, but you have to customize them according to your product owner requirement, because the basic examples are uh, very much average quality of design. So when it is matter of the accessibility and cross-browser compatibility, Bootstrap inbuilt CSS has this cross-browser compatibility, and you don't need to worry about this. So the major benefit is like adding responsiveness, keeping consistency on various element, like all the buttons will show the same kind of design, all the forms will show same kind of design, and same kind of font family will be utilizing all over the page. So these are the major advantages of using Bootstrap framework. So in the next part we'll think about your preparation for learning this, a roadmap kind of thing. Dear friend, in this section we are going to discuss about the roadmap of learning these HTML and JavaScript skill. So from after watching this video, if you are watching till this end, after watching this video you will get a clear picture how to work on developing these skills. First of all, you have to spend at least 1 or 2 weeks in developing some basic web pages and learn the syntax of HTML and CSS. By basic HTML and CSS element, I mean that using the doc type, HTML, header, footer, images, table, etc. So I recommend go through W3 School's tutorial, or Mozilla Firefox has some documentation, so those documentations are helpful, no doubt. And then you create a simple web page. It doesn't matter it is a professional page or not, just experiment on this and find out your own error, where you are doing mistake, why the design is not actually showing appropriately on your web browser. And don't use the framework at the initial stage. Create them without framework, then you will learn the element better. Then after 2 weeks you can make your work little bit more advanced. At this stage you can work with forms, because forms are very popular for application development. You can customize those forms using CSS, and CSS has a default flexbox layout, which is kind of a grid system for creating some layout. So working on that advanced level CSS grid is important, and it will take like another week to understand and implement in a real project. So within 2 to 4 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, you will become an expert of HTML, CSS, no doubt. Then the next step of the journey is a little bit more complex and challenging, because only CSS and HTML is not giving you a front-end developer role. You have to be an expert of JavaScript, and learning JavaScript is another part of this journey. So in this session I'm not dealing with this. When you are familiar with JavaScript and HTML, in fact, before starting the JavaScript lesson, you can start using some version control tool, because if you are creating a very basic HTML or CSS page, you can upload this content on GitHub, on repository. You know how to use the commit branches and how to merge them. These are some very basic knowledge, no doubt. When you are familiar with the tools like npm, yarn, you can add many packages to your project, and that is going to improve the quality of your work as well as the efficiency of your work. You have to follow some best practices, like formatting your code, adding sufficient amount of comment, adding some indentation. That is going to improve your skill set. Now when you are moving forward to some advanced topic and you have completed the JavaScript basic course as well, you can explore the opportunity of integrating some API in your application, like API using Fetch or Axios. These are some popular API that you can experiment with. Then when you learn about the state, you can deal with the component, because now you have confidence about JavaScript as well. But learning JavaScript is a little bit tedious, no doubt. Now you need some final project where you have applied all of your knowledges in terms of functionality, and it is responsive, and it has interactive feature with JavaScript. It is integrated to an API, and it is live on a repository for access. Then you are ready to be proud of your work, that you have done something, and now it is time to make some advancement, so that you can make your work more faster. Your basic is totally fine. You have clarified all this doubt. Now it's time to work on like best practices, taking code challenges, and looking at various type of Stack Overflow question and answer, and be prepared for challenging interview. Because nowadays, if you are applying for front-end development role, people will not ask about your hobby, your background. They will just throw a technical set of questions, solve this for us, and something like that. So you have to be prepared for this first. Dear friend, in this session we'll look at some of the command line activities is required for modern days front-end developer. So for example, let move to D drive and create a directory there. So I'm using like make directory md and my project and enter. Inside this project, I'm like entering to my project, and inside this project I'm going to run npm init y, and let's see npm init. Why I am adding this, it will just add this package JSON code. So you can see this code here. So inside this directory, now I have initialized the npm project. Now we are going to install gulp and other dependency, so that there is some sort of automation in the environment, and then we'll move to that particular directory using VS Code. So I'm using here the command for installing gulp. Gulp needed to be installed globally on your system for using a command line. So make sure when you are opening this command line, it should be using your administrative permission. So here I am going to use the command npm install, then hyphen global for making this installation global, then gulp and hyphen CLI. So when you are using this command, it is actually requesting this software from the repository, and it is installing it globally on your system. So it will take a little bit of time, and now it is saying that 80 packages are included in just 11 seconds, and these packages are found by running npm found command. So we are not going to do this right now. So now install gulp and other require packages locally by using this command. In this particular command, we are basically use the browser sync. So it is another package. So if you, it is helpful for SCSS and some kind of automatic browser loading automation. So let's use this command npm, then install, then underscore and then hyphen save hyphen dev, and then gulp hyphen s ss. This is a special kind of css, and browser hyphen sync. If you are making any spelling mistake in this command, the command will not run. In that case, you have to fix this spelling error. Right now I'm just waiting for the response, and make sure you have already installed the npm. So it is throwing some error, and these are not in the registry. And if you find this kind of error, just look at your command once again whether you have made any mistake or not, and if everything is fine, you can find out the reason by asking question to ChatGPT, or because easily you can figure out the error through this kind of message. So dear friend, now let us create a gulp file.js. How to create this? By ignoring this error, you have to write some code. Let us see this code. So it was a spelling mistake indeed. Just sometime as a human being we mistake, which is very normal. So don't worry about this, just fix. Now I'm running this code, and it is taking a little bit of time for downloading, and if your internet speed is slow, it will take a little bit of time. Now it is showing no error, and 193 packages are included there. So we have successfully installed gulp. Now it is time to write a gulp.js file in our environment. So dear friend, this is the folder where actually we have installed the npm packages. Now open this with VS Code, and let's move to the VS Code view. Okay, expanding this, I trusted, and we have seen a package.json. So package.json is basically giving you the details about this package, and there is a lock JSON, so it is maintaining the dependency here. So dear friend, in this particular folder we have a structure like this. Due to this command line, the node modules are added, and gulp is installed here. We have an index file, and just we are opening the terminal and trying to see, just open the terminal, new terminal, and run this gulp command, gulp. So this is something which is very. Now the big question is, what kind of challenge you face when you go for an interview, or if you are learning for the first time in HTML? Is it only making a home page is enough for you? What kind of project you are going to do? So in HTML5 you can develop a simple game using HTML and CSS, but we are not talking about creating a game. When you are like studying row span and call span, then work on a diagram like this, which is like a complicated puzzle, and try to replicate these design using HTML. So you have to place the word on the relevant box, and this is kind of HTML challenge for people who are preparing for HTML job or front-end developer role. Dear friend, in this section we are going to discuss about what kind of test generally a front-end developer does when he is doing a project. So you have some role, although there are some companies who use dedicated tester for their project, but when you are developing in a small company, you have to do your test tasks as well. So front-end developer generally work on the visual test. So they check all the functionality of these page, especially it is like a component testing. So they verify that individual component is working fine, and they are interacting with other component properly, and with proper state management. Now, what is state management? Is this a concept relevant to the component development? And when you will learn JavaScript, you will be familiar with this. Now you measure your major task is like user interface testing, where you ensure that all the UI element are functionally correct. They are not showing any kind of error in when you are resizing the screen or testing the same page on a different device. Form validation is another part, because most of the application are based on forms. So you have to check whether the input are validated, they are taking correct data, and throwing the validation message when there is something wrong. So you have to do these tasks manually, no doubt. A cross-browser testing and cross-device testing is a major part of front-end development. You have to test your application on different browser, different platform, which will take a little bit of longer time, because if you are not using any kind of automation, manual testing is tedious and lengthy process. So in that case, if you can gather some knowledge how to automate those tests, it will be an advantage for your role. So whether your page is device responsive or not, that is a very significant part, because nowadays all the application are mobile first, because most of the internet user are on mobile and tablets. So you have to focus on mobile first design. Performance testing is another part, where you check your web page is loading fast. Google Lighthouse, no doubt, giving you the opportunity to find out where actually taking a lot of time. There are many tools available that can analyze the whole web page in terms of various component, like Google Page Loader is a tool, and the page loading speed is a tool which is easily available. Just upload the content on a server, and it's just type the URL and check how much time it is taking for mobile and desktop. Then whether your website is or web page is responsive, that is an issue, and as well as the accessibility issue. There are some rules available, like WCAG is an accessibility standard. Whether your page is verified, this accessibility, you have to test this. What is the automation for testing these things? At beginner level, you are not that much familiar, but don't worry about this. If you know the reason why you are testing, in future you will find some resources through which you can do this automation task. Next thing, which is very important, the code quality testing. Whether your code is properly in syntax, is there any syntax error, are you making any kind of error in the coding, but still your design is looking fine, but still there is some best practices issue. For that, you have to test your code on a validating tool, so that it can easily find out where are the mistake and where are the standard issue. And formatting is obviously a very important part. You have to beautify your code so that it is easily readable. In terms of CSS, if you beautify your code, it will take a lot of space and it will slower the code. So in production environment, you have to use the beautify code so that you can do the modification, and in the development, in the live environment, okay, you have to use the minimize form of your JavaScript and the CSS. You have to check the integration to testing as well, like whether the API is correctly responding on your page. This is very important. You have to do some sort of mock test, like tools like Postman, and these things can help you in testing the API response and when you are sending them some data to the API. But that is an advanced level knowledge, no doubt, for the front-end developer. You don't need to be an expert level tester for this, because companies are not expecting that much of workload on a front-end developer, because they have their dedicated development team or software development expert who are going to do this and giving you some report. As a developer point of view, your primary role is looking at the error report and preparing your work ready for testing. So before sending the work or submitting work, if you do a little bit of test during your development, that will save the time. Usability testing is something where you focus on the intuitiveness or user friendliness of your product. Although designer has designed something very fancy, but when you are developing it as a front-end developer, you have to think about end user, whether the button is sufficient enough for using by all sort of users, and how these animation or the effects are helpful for an average user. You have to maintain a consistency throughout this. So code review is a process where you review your code. Sometimes you take help of an advanced senior coder who is expert already in this particular field, and you can just tell them, hey, please review my code, it is working fine, tell me where I can do a little bit more improvement for better output. You will get more suggestion, because the experienced guys can give you some good idea how to improve your skill in this sector. So next thing is automation of this testing, which is okay, automation is necessary, but at this moment it is not so much important for the beginner. If you improve your skill in future, you can use Cypress for JavaScript based application and Selenium for web based application. Once again, a quick recap of how to remember your things, because you are spending so much time to learn a new skill and it is completely new. So I sometimes repeat myself so that you can get a better idea in this particular skill. So skeleton of the HTML document is very important. You can start with a boilerplate, then go for setting the padding and border and margin. So when you are starting coding, just make a skeleton of the page, add all the text from the design, and then think about padding, margin. That is a good idea. Then use some selector and work on CSS, and then add some classes. And there is a difference between class and ID. When you are using class, you can reuse the same property again and again. When you are using ID, you have to be very specific for one ID. And understanding the hierarchy of child and parent relationship in terms of class and ID is very important for a CSS coder. And if you have any doubt, you can send a comment section below. Maybe in the next episode we can clarify this. it is a continuous process because you are in the marathon, you are learning a CSS for the first time. So take a mindset that okay, I am new, I am repeating things again and again because I have to do the same tasks for getting the experience, and then we can do the complex things. So you have to understand the whole HTML page is like a tree diagram, and there is some branches, and within one tag there is another tag, and there is relationship like child and parent, parent and child. So because of this relationship, applying some specific rule to a child is sometimes difficult because the child is inherited by the some property of the parent. So when you have this conception, you can set this. So it is better to reset the browser property and then add the new property. So understanding the inherent property of an element is very important. For example, if you select the body and apply a color to the body, and if you are not applying any other color specification to a specific ID, the whole page will use the same ID. For example, you have set the color of this page is black, and you have a paragraph where you want to display the color of that paragraph is red. In that case, you have to find out the paragraph is located inside a particular parent ID and what is the property of this parent ID. So when you use the inspector tool of Chrome browser, it is sometimes easily understandable. When you are dealing with layout and float, it is little bit of difficult part for the beginner because you have to maintain different part of columns of your page for giving a layout, and when you are not using any framework and using the default grid system of CSS, it is better for the learning phase. You don't need to be a quick learner using framework. You can give the output fast, but your confidence and the knowledge will not good if you use if you are not working on the plain CSS. So next thing is the clear property is a very doubtful property for many beginner level CSS coder. So understanding how to use clear, because they frequently use clear without understanding the grid property well. So go through the documentation where you find a reliable documentation about CSS grid. You can use many resources all over the internet and clarify your concept. Resetting the browser and maintaining the consistency is very important. Very important part is the grid, because many people will view your site on mobile and tablet, and you have to be aware of this grid. Creating some columns is very important. When you create some column, you can give different layout for different devices. So like in tablet, in mobile you can show your page in one column, and in tablet you can make it 2 column, in desktop you can make it 3 column. Take this challenge, do a sample projects, and you can easily find out the solution. A thinking mindset is very important for facing the problem, and then you can ask the question to search engine or chat GPT and you can find a solution. But setting question for solving the problem is a difficult phase for a beginner level learner. And what I need to ask, how can I solve the problem? So this is the problem solving attitude is very important. Adding font like Google font, playing with typography is this next level of CSS, because typography is a very significant part of CSS styling. You have to manipulate the presentation of your font using various type of fonts, but don't use too many font in one page. It will make your page very loady kind of thing, very kind of heavy page. It will load slowly. So keep the number of font minimum and use Google font, which is very much recommended. So now This is a revise, and there are many responsiveness related frameworks available, but most popular is Bootstrap and Tailwind. Tailwind is a little bit complex compared to Bootstrap. Even Bootstrap also has some complexity in the latest version, but maybe in another class we'll explore that. The handling the form is very important. I have already told that, because most of the complex applications are revolving around forms. So your advanced, your seniority or your skill level will depend on how well you are in manipulating the forms, especially using Ajax without loading. You want to fetch the data from the users and you want to send them to the database. So if you can directly work on the Ajax based validation, or you understand the mechanism of form validation very well, that would be a very good advantage for you have to understand how data are transferred from a browser to a web server. What kind of protocol are used there? Technically you are sound, you understand the meaning of get request, the meaning of post request, then you can confidently use your skill for building your web pages or building your form. So form is no doubt a very significant part, like how to apply a hidden field, how to make your form more secured. These are very significant best practices of a front-end developer. There are different approach of making your form more interactive. You can add different styles so that it is uniform for different browser. That is also a challenge. When you are experimenting with the style, then satisfying all the browsers is sometimes challenging. So working on form is very important when you are dealing with different kind of redirection, like 302 or 303. You have to understand the meaning of these HTTP 1.0 protocol and their response as a front-end developer. These are like your basic computer knowledge, how web work and how the web server work. Dear friend, in this session we are going to discuss a comparative study of whether it is good to develop something from scratch or reusing some template. When we think about launching your application very fast, we depend on some ready to use template and modify it according to the requirement. If it is a very basic kind of application, we reuse the template. But whether you are developing a new website or modifying an existing website or web application, and making it modern is very important, because end of the day you want to present your product to end user so that they find it very user friendly, modern, and as per the industry standard. So when you are developing from the scratch, you have to spend more time to make it modern, standard, and totally error free. So I'm not a big fan of template customization, and some people feel that okay, I can do custom development, I am very superior, because both tasks need different kind of skill set. When you are developing something from the scratch, you have to spend more time in customizability, because you are reinventing the wheel. So complete control over, you get more control over the design, because you know how you have prepared your product. So basically it is more tailored, and you optimize it for your application only. It is not a generalized kind of thing that is applicable for fit for all. So in performance point of view, developing from the scratch is no doubt a very good idea. You can show your work to potential client or employer that I have developed this particular web page or application from the scratch, and I have done everything using my own code, And of course you have to depend on some framework or some libraries. That is completely okay, but you are completely not copy and pasting someone else's work. So learning at the learning stage or developing stage, developing it from the scratch is no doubt a very good idea. It is flexible and very much cost effective sometime, because you don't need to buy an expensive template for that. But there are some con side of this kind of project. You have to consume a lot of time, you have to deal with a lot of error, because human make a lot of error. Generally the ready to purchase themes are error free because a team work on that, and they spend a lot of time to make it client ready product. So when you are spending more time, so it is costly. And the maintenance is also a major issue, because time to time you have to update your code. Whereas if you reuse a template, just buy it from a vendor, it is a speedy work. You are getting a boilerplate or a ready to use template. It is cost effective, because by paying a fraction amount of money, you are purchasing the template. Now you will find some built-in feature in that. The problem is that all the features are not applicable for your project. So there are some con side, like from performance point of view, you have to remove many features to make it tailor-made for your project. So you have to work on many alteration. So your design will not remain unique. That is a very big issue, because same template is used by number of vendors. So when someone will visit your site, they will have an expression, okay, it is a template based website. Maybe it is not a good example of a portfolio kind of thing. If it is solving your purpose or business, then it's okay. And that's why it is a big issue whether we go for the developing from scratch or developing it from a reusable template. Let us discuss about the workflow of how do you convert a design into HTML pages. So pretty much straightforward. You have to understand the design. So review the design first using your ideas, like examine it at what format it is provided. Maybe it is in Figma design. So pay attention on the layout, typography, color, space, and interactive element. So take a note of all those things. Then check whether there is any additional functionality is involved in terms of animation, slideshow, or is there any part where you have to work more for CSS and JavaScript. So look for the details in terms of what kind of fonts they have used. In this part we are talking about the workflow of HTML developer, especially front-end developer. So first you have to understand the design first. Maybe it is provided you in Figma platform or Adobe XD platform. Pay attention on the layout, typography, color, space, and the interactive element of this page. So check the specification details. Maybe your project manager is going to discuss about the feature they are looking for. So when you are dealing with the fonts and color, be very specific about the font type, and all those information can be easily extractable from the design, because design specification is telling you what kind of font you need to use. So set up your development environment. Visual Studio is the main code editor. You can use other alternative, no problem, like like Sublime, but Visual Studio is my personal favorite. Then create a project structure for this, like a folder that contains some CSS folder, JavaScript folder. Keep the all kind of asset in one single folder, like images and other stuff. Now once it is ready for coding, minimize the image size so that it can easily load on all browser, gather the font if this font is not available, and if it is not web friendly, inform your design team that these are the issues with this design, and then create your HTML structure. Now you have to follow the best practices of HTML5, like there must be some sections for header, the main section, the article section or footer section. Basically these make your code all device friendly, and write the CSS code using the standard CSS that is easily loadable, and you can reuse the CSS in multiple sections. So find out all the reusable section in the design when you are reviewing them, and you can reuse them. So taking the responsive part is very important, where you have to deal with some media queries, like implementing media queries for adjustment in the layout when your page is browsed in a different kind of device. So flexible layout is very important, where you can use BW, BH, this kind of this kind of uh, unit for dimension on space, vertical space or horizontal space, etc. So when you have full confidence on utilizing the space, you can implement the design exactly. Major issues are arised when there is some spacing issue. Even very popular website also shows some spacing error because of the CSS. So in implementing the JavaScript is the complex part, and you can do that part later, because working on only CSS and HTML is very important. So test cross various device, like browser stack is a software that allows you to test in different platform, but optimizing the code by minimizing the CSS, optimizing the image size, and use of CDN also helpful. So you will find some interview questions like why we should use a CDN. CDN is generally used for fast loading of your content, because CDN is like a content delivery network that help in loading the page very quickly, because when it is requested from like USA, the server will a server near to that user location will deliver the content as quickly as possible. And if you are using CDN, the common assets like your CSS file, JavaScript file, those will be delivered by the CDN. So deploying the pages on your server required some sort of best practices. You need to follow the security rules so that you are not uploading any kind of virus when you are uploading your work on your server, and review your code as much as possible for any kind of adjustment that can fix a visible bugs, and this is how the total workflow done for a front-end developer. Now biggest question is how you can estimate your work, because when you are working as a front-end developer, the project manager will ask you a very simple question, that how many days you will take to complete this design into HTML. So what is your step for at calculating the time frame, because you are the person who is responsible for this specific part of the work. So in that case, your previous experience will help you, because you already have done some HTML development. So no, only previous experience is not enough. You have to review the design first. Where is the complexity lies? Like examine there are some complex areas in the design that is very time consuming for the developer, and look at any kind of animation or interaction that will require some research and iteration for the implementation. So those are time consuming. Then count the page, how many pages are there, is there any reusable section, so that you can design or develop those page first. So you have to break down the project in terms of the time utilized for HTML structure, then CSS styling, and JavaScript interactivity. So doing the HTML structure is faster. Doing CSS code comparatively longer than coding HTML, and adding interactivity with JavaScript is also a significantly time consuming part of the development. But many initial level developers forget one thing, is which is called testing his code, optimizing his code, and reviewing his code. So these are very significant. When you are delivering the work, it is necessary to test it and try to rethink whether it is possible to refactor the code for reducing the length or something. But we are living in a very fast-paced environment where clients are asking for very fast delivery, so you cannot compromise with quality for fast delivery. So you have to allocate sufficient amount of time so that you can deliver a very good quality output. So typically when you are starting your work, the initial days, like first day or second day, will definitely take more time, because you are creating a structure according to the design. When you are moving to the second day or third day, you will get a reusable set of code that will make the process a little faster. And you have to work on the responsive design adjustment part. So keep some 10 to 20% buffer time, because sometimes you will face some sort of issues that is going to be unprecedented, like you don't expect something going on, and then you have to deliver the project on time. So keep like 10-20% hours as a buffer, so that you can cover your work. So calculate the total time depending on the workload. Maybe depending on your speed, it will be different for different developers. So I'm not giving you a precise time frame that you can complete this amount of page in this amount of time. It totally depends on your speed, and sometimes it depends also in what type of project you are doing. If it is like kind of agile, or you are part of agile team, then changes are very obvious and you have to do a lot of change time to time. Here the most important thing is communication, because you have to discuss with all the stakeholder, not only all the stakeholder, only the people responsible for reviewing your tasks. So maybe he's the project manager, or maybe your team lead, technical team lead. So communication is a part of the work, and it also takes a little bit of time. So when you are gathering feedback on your work, take a note, listen things actively, and implement it accurately, and don't miss any point that will a red flag that you are skipping some of the important key feature, and this is not a professionalism in this particular field. So these are the basic things that you need to know as a beginner level. So your day one should be utilized for the planning, and try to reduce this planning session very fast and quick. And then when you are analyzing the design, you need to identify the key element, and then structure your project according to your plan. So when you are using some sort of framework like Bootstrap or Tailwind, it will be a little faster, because you get some ready to use responsive grid, you have navigation bar, you have different cards and models that you can reuse in your code. But what is very important, that you have to practice using at least 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 project, depending on your capability. And every day you are going to learn new things. Basically this session is to give you the familiarity of the nook and corner of modern front-end development, but we'll discuss about the some serious issues that are need to be concerned about entering into this world of front-end development in the next session. So keep watching and let's discuss that. Dear friend, in this session we are going to discuss about the skill set difference of a senior front-end developer and a junior front-end developers. How can you differentiate two person? One is senior, another is junior. So obviously it is depending on their knowledge area. Generally, a junior developer is just like learning. He is doing mistake and learning from that again. So he has the basic understanding of CSS, HTML5, and he can do styling of pages, and sometimes he is a repetitive worker, like he is doing some mistake and then fixing it again. So it takes a lot of time to make someone totally error free, and this totally error free is an obsolete kind of mindset which is actually not possible in the real world. So junior developers has all those skills to complete a works. Only thing is that they took a little bit more time. If they're dedicated to their work, they learn and speed up their work, because they start creating a portfolio where they find some of their work are similar, and they can get some inference from the previous work, and they can utilize it in the new project. So as a junior developer, you are a little bit less familiar with the modern framework and libraries, and it took a little bit more time to adopt all those things, because you have just recently completed the nook and corner of HTML and CSS documentation. You are kind of a vanilla HTML CSS developer. Of course, you have confidence on the fundamentals of JavaScript, but when it is a matter of advanced manipulation of the DOM, it is a challenging task for you. This is the situation of a junior level developer. A senior level developer is like a leading position. He is monitoring the work of couple of junior developer. He is capable to utilize the deep understanding of his JavaScript knowledge. Especially he is capable to utilize the framework, and somehow he can fulfill the requirement of a full stack because of his proficiency in manipulating the DOM and optimizing technique. So when it is done within it is a matter of maintaining a very rigid and rigorous workflow with lot of version control, like lot of branching and merging. These the junior developer are not that much of efficient. Senior developer has a vision to deliver the whole product, and they think about the overall experience of the product, instead of doing only one task at a time. And they are also sound in technical point of view, like extensive experience in the modern framework like Angular, React, or Vue, and sometimes they are very specific in a specific framework, like I'm expert of Vue, expert of React, something like. And junior developer has a little project experience. They have done a lot of personal portfolio which are not industry standard, and they have little bit of industry experience, so their vision is sometimes limited. Whereas a senior front-end developer can deal with the complex project. They understand the complexity of the development team. They know coding standards, security issues, best practices. So as a result, they could become an asset for the company, and then they can do the mentorship of multiple junior developer working in say 10 or 5 or 10 projects altogether. So the major skill is the problem solver. Seniority depends on how well you are in problem solving, how well you are in debugging, because you faced a similar kind of problem multiple times in your career, and as a problem solver you are very straightforward to the issue that you want to solve. You are not like like hitting the bush and not finding where is the problem. So they can find the problem, and they have the troubleshooting capability and debugging capability comparatively high than the junior developer. So this is how we can differentiate a junior and senior level developer. One more thing is the code quality. Junior level developer code quality sometimes good because they are very academic. They learn it from the professor academics, and they think, okay, our code is up to date. And now senior developer has some sort of extra kind of advantage. They understand how to fix thing very quickly, and they are very concerned about the time frame, because we are living in a very time bounded world where in a fast paced environment you have to deliver your work on time. So getting things done is very important for a senior level developer. So in terms of collaboration, communication, both are same. Junior and senior both are same sometimes, because when they pass a certain interview level, their communication skills are examined by the HR team. So there is no issue in terms of communication. When it is terms of responsibility, maybe the seniors are more responsible, but that is a different issue. It varies person to person. And when we think about the design principle, both are on same page, and when it is matter of emerging technology and trends, maybe senior level developer can give you a better perspective in terms of the trend and the technology. Junior are like exploring many things together. They are not very much specific in certain area, and they try to experiment with all sort of possible technology. This is a common scenario. Now again, a big question, that is there any difference? We'll come to that point in the next session. Dear friend, in this session, we are going to clarify one major doubt about different backend technology and the role of front-end developer in different technology stack. Because when you are appointed as a front-end developer and dealing with a team and senior backend developer, you will face that your senior dev is expert on a specific language. Like he may be an expert of Java or Python or PHP or .NET. So is it a problem for a front-end developer? Like when you are working in a project that is built using Java, you are going to use a different kind of best practices. When you are dealing with PHP, are you dealing with a different kind of best practices? This is a very big question. So let us deep dive into this area and try to understand it, how it is significant. The backend technology is significant for the front-end developer. So each technology stack has its own set of specialization. That means if you are doing your day-to-day job with a Python developer, maybe you will find some difficulty when you are working in a project that is written in a .NET language. So you have to select a specific technology stack, and you can ask your team that what kind of backend technology is going to utilize in this particular project. So let us break down it in a very simplified way, one by one and language by language. So first of all, say Java. Java is no doubt the most popular backend language. So we are dealing with projects that is enterprise level. If you are joining a Java team as a front-end developer, probably your team is developing application for bank, big financial corporate, or maybe a healthcare sector, because their projects are comparatively complex compared to open source based projects. So you have to be a little bit of familiar with the environment where they work. Generally they use Springboard, or sometime they highly depending on some kind of RESTful APIs. So this is how they generally deal on day-to-day basis. It is also true that other technologies also use RESTful services. So as a front-end developer, you may find there is some sort of dissimilarity in stack to stack. So understanding the process, how to consume the RESTful API service, is very important for a front-end developer. So you have to study blog, some tutorial, wherever possible, gather some information about your technology stack. And here security practice is a big issue. Like you are using some JavaScript that has some security issues, that is a big no-no for the dev team slash the product owner. So you have to learn this for JavaScript integration. But here, as a for the beginner, it is very important note that JavaScript and Java are not the same. So JavaScript is more like client-side programming, and Java works in both a front end and back end. So you will find as kind of difference when you are dealing with a team who is working on Java. And in case of Python generally deals with projects that associate with data analytics kind of thing, data visualization kind of thing. So Python has its own template engine. So if you understand the template engine a little, it is easy to implement your front end code to that framework. So when you are working with a team of Python, they will expect that you understand how to implement the code in the Python framework, although you are not an expert of Python programming. But your backend developer will reach you to with an unique request that fix this. I'm not able to implement your code in my application. So in that case, you need to do a little bit of research and you have to collaborate with them, and this is how you gather the experience. And especially the Microsoft technologies like .NET, they are depending on a different kind of JavaScript, which is called TypoScript. So if you are a JavaScript programmer, you already know that you have to adopt that new style of writing JavaScript. Similarly, things are different for other languages like Go, but I'm not expanding this conversation too much, because my goal is to giving you an idea to prepare you for language specific front-end developer. And because one solution is not fit for all, for fundamental point of view, yes, HTML CSS is a common knowledge, but when you are dealing with the different kind of technology, you need to be aware, and generalized specialization is not good enough. There are certain sector where the generalized knowledge is good, like integrating API, or dealing with some data, like implementing some JSON data or XML data on your front end, and handling various type of error message from the browser, cross browser compatibility. These are common for all languages. and you need to be familiar with the DevOps and development team, like how they regularly evaluate their work, how they build and then find out the problems, and then again reiterate them or rebuild them, or you need knowledge about this for playing a very significant role in the team as a front-end developer. So project's complexity is a kind of metrics that you need to follow. Maybe it is very complex for some project, and these are very easy for other projects. So in the next part we'll discuss about that point. Let's see you. Dear friends, in this part we'll discuss about a very obvious question, that I want to be a front-end developer, so which pathway is good for me? Should I try for freelances and build my own portfolio, selling my services through platform like Upwork or Fiverr, or I should go for a employee-based salaried job in a large corporation? So how to analyze this to pathway? First of all, freelancing is good if you like it, and it is also challenging because you have to find a new project for you, and you have to spend time on personal branding and sending proposal to the customer, and you have to spend a little bit more time in marketing yourself. And if a company is doing this for, okay, it's also fine, they're saving your time, but when you are an employee, a salaried employee of a corporate world, like big technology giant, like you are working in IBM or maybe Infosys, TCS, Cognizant, like this, so you are not a freelancer anymore. You have some daily tasks, you have to do the same tasks again and again. They will train you with proper training material. You will get a team of very highly qualified engineers, and every day you will face some challenge. Maybe some tasks are repetitive, and you can earn the expertise. That is the industry standard right now. So in USA you can get a contractual job in a company where you are a W2 employee getting hourly salary because you are dealing with the project. So why the freelancer front-end developers are rejected by those corporate giants? Because the reason is very simple. Number one, their project complexity is high, so their scale is very high. Freelancers are very much limited to small project, so corporate avoid hiring freelancer for their work. Is that the main reason? There are some other reasons too. Corporate projects generally longer than a year. Sometimes it runs for a long time because of the extensive requirement, high level integration scope of integration is high. So they are always dealing with long term specialized role, and they want a team member who can play those significant challenges, who can face those significant challenges. Whereas in freelancer, you are your own boss, you are dealing with projects that you can handle. You don't have enough teammates who can help you in solving complex tasks, so you are somehow getting things done. Of course you are learning new things every day, but it depends on how complex your projects are. So the corporates are looking for more compliance issue because they are dealing with sensitive data. They have very rigorous methodology for delivering the project. They have the project management system where they need regular update of their work. They have some strict rule and regulation, and these rule and regulation is abide by the principle of the project managements like agile and waterfall. So why a beginner level front-end developer should aware of this thing at the very beginning? Because he just want to learn the technology, right? I think I'm sharing this from my experience level, because you don't need to go to a direction after 2-3 years where you don't find a good scope. So my suggestion would be, if you like freelancing, do it, create your portfolio, but focus on your academic careers. Like, present yourself that you have completed some sort of IT degree from a recognized institute. You know the basic of all the computer skills, and then preparing for a front-end developer role in a corporate world where you are a smart guy who can handle the compliances standard, the rigorous project management uh, rules and regulations. Although he is not a project manager, he's a teammate, but in future he can lead a team for front end development. So when you are aware of these team dynamics, you can be a part of a large team, maybe located in different part of the geography, and they are very much a kind of fixer. They are not scared about any new technology. Anytime they are taking a challenge, just taking a new project, and as per the project requirement, they adopt that new technology, and this is how the project works. So successful front-end developer means you are adding higher value, not adding large number of project in your portfolio list, but doing some good work with some sort of significant impact on the project. So this is why it is a very crucial thing you gather information about project manage about front-end development. You have a vision how to progress, but what would be the roadmap down the line after 2-3 years? Are you planning to become a freelancer where you constantly searching for new project and satisfying various type of client on various type of platform, or you are preparing yourself for a corporate front-end developer? That is a big question. So it is completely your personal choice. You can both sides are equally rewarding depending on the style of your work. So I'm not recommending that okay, this line is correct and that line is bad. Just do a comparative study before deep dive into the technology, because it will take time to become an expert in this field. And if you are preparing for the right kind of challenges, then of course it would be a kind of satisfaction for you. And most importantly, these interviews that for a front-end developer in any corporate is very challenging. They will not ask you that what is the meaning of this HTML element. They want to ask you a question that actually like a problem solving. They are not asking some general knowledge based question on HTML and CSS. So although this is an introductory class and we are dealing about only introduction of HTML and CSS, but this is how the industry work, and that's it for now. So this is the final session of this course, and here we want to discuss about the mindset that is required for a successful front-end developer. So first of all, is you must be knowledgeable about your craft. So gather knowledge. It is easy to gather knowledge, but when you need some mentorship, you need some advice from someone who experienced these things. And not only that, when he is talking about the issues, that make sense, because sometimes we find some knowledge, like you can learn HTML CSS in 10 hours or 5 hours. It's not possible. It is just a introduction, so don't need to claim that if you are able to learn it in like 5 or 6 hours. And now the first thing is that you need to acquire a kind of mindset that it is not a sprint, it is like a marathon. You have to gather the passion and the capability to understand this tech, and constantly a group of people uh, enriching this stack of knowledge every day. So adaptability is very important, and you have to be flexible. So what kind of adaptability? Like, you are ready to do any kind of changes as per the project requirement, because your plan is not delivering something as a final product. Your goal is to deliver the part of the work as per the requirement, and it is satisfying the verification validation part of testing. So next thing is that you must be flexible about the tools, because some developers are like that. I'm very much accustomed with tool A, but I am not capable to adopt tool B right now. So you must be a good learner so that you can adopt the tools very quickly. When your fundamentals are clear, you can adopt them. Attention to detail is very important, because you cannot skip very small details that provided by product owner, and due to that sometimes the product quality, and that is a bad impression for the whole team. And when you are very thorough in testing, you can deliver quality product. You must be a very good team player, and your collaborative spirit will help you to do this, because as a team you are delivering the quality product, so your contribution is significant. And when you maintain a effective communication between the team members, it is very helpful for the whole team success. The thing is that some companies or some team forget to reward for the small contribution by their team player. So it is necessary to reward everyone, and when somebody is achieving something good on time and with perfection, the team lead should give them reward. So you can expect some kind of recognition from the senior level coder or senior level team lead, that this person is very reliable for the team. So in this way you can improve your skill set. There are two major giants right now in the IT world, three major giants in the IT world, like Microsoft and Google. So they are also focusing on, they have a constant observation on these technology stack. Like, you go to Microsoft Learn website, you will find many CSS and HTML related videos by expert. Google is also developing its own tools for web design and some framework for CSS. So they also have a regular update on this tech, so it is not going obsolete. So if you are following those technology stack, then definitely you are ahead of your time, and you are aware of the things going around your universe. But the thing is that where you can, if you gather a lot of knowledge and you are not implementing them, then that knowledge is like wasted. So if you get an opportunity to contribute with a new idea, always speak out and shout for kind of kind of skill that you can contribute to a team. So show your dedication at your work, complete your goal on time. This kind of mindset is very important. You must be a problem solver kind of person. Your approach should be like developing a solution that is aligned to the project goal and thinking about some critical complex problem using some easy solution. So you must need to be aware of all kind of compliances and standard. For example, your HTML code must be W3 valid, your CSS code must be W3 valid. If you are using JavaScript, depending on the platform, you must follow the pattern of writing it. And learning means growth. As you are continuously learning, means there is a growth in you. If you are only following your old knowledge, then somehow you are not in a route of growth. Time management is also very important, where prioritizing the tasks and delivering it on time is kind of a habit. So you have to build up that habit, and there will be some setback, there will be some challenges, there will be some commitment for your personal commitments, there will be some commitment in your personal life. So be resilient with that, accept that okay, I have to be I have to cope up with all those things. There is challenges, there is some responsibility. I'll make a balance in between them. So this kind of mindset is very important, and focus on the user experience. User centric thinking is very important. When you are not thinking user centric, you cannot address the pain point of user, and if you are not addressing the pain point of user, your product is not going to successful. So very simple equation. So thinking strategically, and always verify whether you are building it right or wrong. And this kind of strategic thinking always beneficial for the team, for the business, and your personal goal. So that was our presentation about HTML and CSS for front-end developer. So see you guys in another episode where we'll discuss about another new topic. Till then, take care and have a good one.